Good afternoon, and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is Leslie Ross, and I am the Director of Children's Religious Exploration. The vision of FUS is growing souls, connecting with one another, and embodying our UU values in our lives, our community, and our world. If you are visiting today, we are so very glad that you are with us. If you would like more information about First Unitarian Society, please stop by the welcome table located in the commons out there. We hope that you'll be able to stay and join us for coffee immediately following today's service. Our final second Saturday potluck will also be held after today's service. Please join us if you can, whether or not you brought something to share. Potluck happens in the commons as well. We're excited to offer our annual Coming of Age worship service today. We'll have the privilege of hearing from an impressive group of youth who have spent the past 8 months in our Coming of Age program. As many of you know, Coming of Age is the final class in our Children's Religious Exploration program and is a rite of passage marking the transition from childhood to adolescence. Their weeks have been filled with experiential learning, introspection, meaningful discussion, exposure to new perspectives, and of course, a lot of fun. Each week has included the sharing of a "This I Believe" statement taken from the vast library of available essays. This I Believe is an international program that engages people in writing and sharing essays that describe a core value that guides their daily lives. Our Coming of Age youth have set themselves down to write their own essays, which they will share with you today. Their words, as well as their musical contributions to today's service, are sure to inspire hope and awe. And now we invite you into a moment of silence as we center ourselves, come fully into this time, and join together once again in community.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, of covenant and connection, let us worship together.
Please rise in body or spirit to join us in the words of affirmation as we light our chalice. Fire consumes and casts a bright light May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path about light and peace.
Please remain standing as we sing together our opening hymn, We Are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
I now invite anyone who would like to come up for today's story to come join us on the rug. Perfect. All right. Today's story is If I Never Forever Endeavor. If in all of forever I never endeavor to fly, I won't know if I can. I won't know if I can't. I won't know if or whether of flight I might fly. Should I choose to not ever give it a try. On the one wing I could try and find that I flap and I flail, flounder and plummet, look foolish and fail. On the other wing I could try and take flight and rise high and float free and sail through the trees. If I did endeavor and found my wings clever, I could see the world or get lost in it. My nest is so nice, the nicest of nests. Who needs to fly ever? I think I'll forget all about this endeavor.
But look there. If I don't fly, I won't know what it is to swoop low or soar high, or what it's like to pluck a sweet bug from the sky. I won't know how it feels to scallop the air with a dip and a glide, or float alongside a friend. Sigh. I suppose I could try a little flap or a flutter, or two. Flutter, flap, thwack, thud, thump, flap, flutter, flap, flap. Fly. Look at me. I'm dipping and gliding and daring and flying. If I hadn't endeavored and found my wings clever, I never a sky would have scaled, never a world would have seen, and never a friend would have found. Friends of feather, I say, endeavor and fly. Thank you, and you may now leave for your classes.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Ooh, you say I am loud when I think I am weak, and you say I am strong when I think I am weak, and you say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak, and you say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You have every failure, oh, you have every victory. Ooh, oh. Say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. When I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe, oh, I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I believe in being open-minded. I say this because being open-minded is a good way to experience new things and find things you may enjoy. Being able to find things you enjoy may come naturally or may not. This can bring lots of happiness to your life if you are open-minded to anything, such as new experiences and new opportunities. You can potentially have more fun and learn new things. Running is something that brings me lots of joy. I would not have found that out if I did not try cross-country in high school. When I run, I enjoy having the opportunity to explore new places and see new things that I have not seen before. Some of my favorite places to run are around Picnic Point, down by the Union, and through Hoyt Park. Also, running has been quite fun to me due to the clothing I wear when I run. When I run in warmer weather, I enjoy wearing some fun shorts with rubber ducks on them. As well as being fun to wear, they also feel great. They are lightweight and make me feel weightless. Sometimes, things as simple as trying a new food, smiling at someone who walks by you who you don't know, exploring a new place, and going outside of your comfort zone can all be great ways to be open-minded and find joy in your life. When I started my second semester of high school at West, I took a drawing class. I hadn't ever taken any sort of drawing class before this class, so I definitely felt I was stepping outside of my comfort zone. When I first started drawing class, it was quite difficult due to having to do stuff with shading, which I had never done before. After learning and discovering some more about shading and how to do it, I felt more comfortable in the area of drawing. It felt great to be able to try something new, succeed in it, and have fun. I wish everyone the chance to be open-minded and have the opportunity to see what experiences that brings you in your life. I hope that I can continue to be open-minded and be able to see where that takes me in life. Thank you.
I believe in uniting as one. Faith has always been a gray area for me. For years, I didn't even know what the word religious meant. I never knew the extent of my relationship with God or Jesus or any religious figure at all. I was born a Christian and baptized as a baby, but I never knew what that meant until I started going to a Catholic school when I was 12. Since then, I've been taught the significance of at least every major religion, but none of them ever really resonated with me. I don't know what to feel when I pray, and I don't know if there's any significance at all in believing in the Lord. If there is a God, why would he let all these tragedies like war and terminal illness happen? But if there isn't a God, why are there so many unexplainable miracles that have happened in the world? Is God punishing us because we've done something wrong? I believe that there is a God, or that there is someone, somewhere, watching over us. I don't think that God punishes people. We are all accountable for our own actions, whether we want to admit it or not. I feel like sometimes the extent of what God does in response to us is taken too far, and we aren't able to see what's really obstructing us. Sometimes the only thing limiting us is ourselves, not God. I do believe in spirits. I believe that there is at least someone somewhere watching over us, regardless of who it is. For years, I never knew how I identified religiously, but but I think now I have finally figured out what I believe in, Unitarianism. I think we should accept our differences and all come together and unite as one. We spend so much time comparing ourselves to other people who we want to be like. I did this throughout most of my life until I realized how unhealthy it was. We're all different. No one person is the same as any other. We're all unique in our own way, regardless of our race, religion, ethnicity, social class, or any other factor. Part of being Unitarian is coming together with people from all different beliefs and cultures and uniting as one, no matter what our beliefs on God are. There are so many different problems in the world today regarding spirituality, and if we all just agree and accept that we have different views, we could solve so many of them. Whether you're white, black, Asian, Spanish, atheistic, agnostic, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, or whoever you choose to be in this big world, the Unitarian Church is all welcoming. This is why I chose to be Unitarian. It's a place where everyone can thrive and nobody has to feel left out. While I don't know if I believe in God, I still choose to identify this way spiritually because I don't have to conform to something. While my friends may not understand why I go to church on Saturdays or why I don't ever talk about my faith, I still want to be Unitarian because of how much these classes and teachings have changed my life. I believe in uniting together as one, and if we can all understand each other's differences, we can make the world a better place. This I believe.
I believe in the power of games, not just video games. I believe that through games you can grow much closer to your friends, family, and also you can meet new people and improve your social skills. I like games because unlike reading and watching a story, you are in the story and you can experience it yourself. Through games I've met friends that I've known for years and that I would never replace. I believe that games can also be used as one of the many facets that people can grow closer and learn. Games can challenge you to solve complex problems, improve your critical thinking skills, and more. They improve a safe and immersive environment where you can increase creativity and collaboration too. But games are not just for education too. They can provide an escape from the everyday stresses of life. In a world that often feels overwhelming, we can explore a world with role-playing games, maybe play a casual game like a puzzle or Wordle to blow off some steam. I believe that games are a great tool to use to relax and recharge. In short, I believe that games are much more than a form of entertainment. They have the power to educate, inspire, connect, and enrich our lives in many ways. Whether we are alone or with others, games offer a unique and valuable experience that has the potential to improve and enhance our lives in many ways. This is what I believe.
I believe in music. I believe that music changes the way I see and remember things. For me, music has a strong association with places and experiences, and music is often a big part of my memories of positive experiences. I felt like this since I was very little. I remember as a child hearing songs on the radio in the car and associating them with places I went frequently, like daycare or my mom's work. As I got older and started listening to music much more often and more independently, it became more of a focused association with positive things. In a way, certain songs became the soundtrack to the highlights of my life. The soundtrack aspect I just mentioned was especially present on vacations. There was one vacation in particular during the summer of 4th grade where I'm pretty sure I could remember off the top of my head every song I listened to more than twice. Certain scenes will always be burned into my memory because of the music I was listening to at that time. The biggest one I can think of is lying in my bed at 1 a.m. on New Year's Day listening to a song I'd heard maybe once before. I remember keeping myself awake just long enough to hear the end of the song, thinking to myself, I should really go to sleep, and then going to sleep. To this day, when I hear that song, I can picture that event vividly, as is the way with so many other songs and so many happy moments. I believe that music also has its own meanings and associations. Music isn't limited to the times and places I associate it with. Each song I listen to carries its own landscape and set of mental images. These images range from fully realized worlds to simple color palettes that the music evokes. My favorite songs are the ones that carry especially strong associations. When I listen to them, I can lay down, close my eyes, and fully experience them for however long the song is. Similarly, I find that some songs appear to tell stories that aren't fully explained or not explained at all. When I listen to songs like these, I try to piece together the story or just make up my own in a way I think fits the song. Sometimes the music prompts this kind of interpretation, and sometimes it's better to just listen to it. However it's experienced and however it presents itself, music is something that's very important to me. It is and has always been one of my favorite things in life.
I believe in community. Ever since I was a little boy, I have noticed the strength of community around me. I have been part of many communities in my lifetime, but there are some that really stood out to me. The summer after first grade, my parents told me and my sister that we were moving to Budapest, Hungary. I had no idea what to expect, as I had never been anywhere in Europe, let alone outside of the United States. I would have to learn a whole new language, readjust to a new apartment, and on top of that, find my own community. This was a very daunting task for a 7-year-old just wanting to trade Pokemon cards and scooter around. But after convincing from my parents and Hungarian language apps, my sister, my mom, my dad, and I were off to Hungary. The first month in Hungarian school, I cried every single day. Not being able to communicate with my peers made the only place where I felt like I belonged home. But day by day, month by month, I began to pick up on Hungarian hobbies such as trading soccer cards and spinning toy tops. I started to make a few friends, and then suddenly, I found my community. I would play soccer with them at recess, spin tops with them before class, and try to pull together coherent Hungarian sentences during the day. I realized I didn't need to be able to communicate with others to share meaningful connections. And when the 2 years were up and me and my family were packing our bags to leave, I left fluent in Hungarian, knowing I had made lifelong friends. I truly think that the experience of living in a different country for any time period is very valuable to a person's character. You undergo moments that are incomprehensible if you not experience them yourself. For example, I was introduced to niche Hungarian cultures, such as my teacher's love for the Moldovan band Ozone or the rivalries between small-town soccer clubs, such as Ferencváros or Honvéd. In life, I will take the lessons that I have learned in Hungary with me. I will make sure to welcome anyone who moves to the U.S. because I know how it feels to be alone in an unknown country. I will also try to identify with my community and help them achieve their goals and hope they will do the same for me. This I believe.
I believe in the power of patience. I believe in this because I find spending a little extra time benefits me in so many ways. When I am patient, I observe and recognize more things, and I find that I'm more self-aware of things that are happening around me. Taking more time on something is super important because it provides the benefit of extra thought into something and a chance to catch errors that you'd likely miss. This clarity is something that I'm routinely thankful for because I can look back and see that without patience, I'd have an outcome to something that I would not want. To put this plainly, putting patience into practice presents a perfectly painted picture that appears to be paradise, but I find it painfully apparent that patience isn't always practical. For example, if someone is in immediate need of emergency services, being patient in the wrong way can cause a lot of harm, and so my message is not to be patient in all scenarios, but to identify when patience brings benefits, and when it does, that is the time when I suggest that you should be patient, because you'll be able to look back and agree that patience is fantastic. Now that I've established that patience is phenomenal, I think an important question to ask is, why are people constantly impatient? I believe that part of it comes down to processing information and coming up with a solution that they think might be good and works well. And not to say that it's a bad thing, although I think many people see coming up with a solution that works as the final phase, whereas you can be patient and eventually create something even more spectacular. For me, I like to be patient in many aspects of life, but one that I frequently find functioning fabulously is board games. When I play board games, I notice that I have a lot of time between my turns, and I like to use that time to plan out what I want to do for my next turn. And through thorough thought, I achieve play that I prefer and that benefits me more. Another part of patience is understanding that it goes both ways, and that you should also be patient in waiting for other people. If you take the time to be patient for others, people don't always perceive it that way, and they might feel like you're being slow. So if you feel like everything else is going slow, I think that you should accept that and use that time to see how you can improve on what you want to accomplish. I think that if the world were to use patience to our advantage, it would feel far more enjoyable with less stress and better results. All thanks to patience.
I believe in nature. Nature is all around us, whether or not we realize it. As I'm writing this in a forest, in the definition of the middle of nowhere as it hails on my mediocre tarp setup, I had some time to think. Strangely enough, being alone in a forest for 6 hours can do that to a person. It's actually so quiet that I can hear my heartbeat. That's one thing I don't think I realized was so relaxing about being completely alone in nature for me. Just that complete isolation from things humans have made, and just to be away from people in general for a bit. Although having said that, I feel it is important to acknowledge that we humans technically are still nature, even though we may not always think of it or realize it. Everything we own today was once a rock or a tree or something that was, at some point, untouched by humans. We just made it into something to help us or entertain us in some way. We are built and made entirely up of things that once used to be a plant or an animal. We occasionally think of ourselves as higher beings than the animals outside of our apartments, houses, and cities, but really, we are just different. We get lives of jobs, relationships, school, and the internet, while most animals get lives of freedom in endless mountains or forest or water. One way I like to think of our relationship with nature is a rock. If you pick up a rock, would you still consider that the same type of nature as a moose? That's how I like to think of it. Still a part of nature, but different. It's constructed and created by the same things as nature. Being in nature is an escape from me, an escape from technology and other people. When I'm in nature, I don't really feel alone. I feel surrounded by life in a more pure form than I am used to seeing anywhere else. This I believe.
I believe in reading. Reading is, to me, magic. Reading is a way for people to reach out to each other, sharing their thoughts, concerns, emotions, their ideas, their stories, and the way they see the world. Reading is also a way of learning, a way of past generations speaking to us, telling us of their experiences and of the lessons that they've learned, like the history books we've been reading all throughout school to learn about how our society has gotten to where we are. When we read, our minds immerse ourselves in what we are reading until we feel as though we are the ones experiencing it. Fun fact, this is why horror books actually scare us, even though they're just words on paper. Reading is a way of sharing ideals, morals, and beliefs. For instance, many religions have stories that teach the values that religion, values. Like almost all religions have a way people are rewarded for living by those values, and oftentimes a way for people to be punished for not doing so. One of the first things I truly started to have an interest in reading was Greek mythology. I devoured everything I could about Greek mythology, from Hercules, or his name in earlier myths, Heracles, to Psyche and Helen of Troy, to Tantalus and Sisyphus, who were mainly known for their condemnation in the afterlife. Anyways, the point is that I loved the Greek myths and just about every other mythology I could get my hands on, and I didn't really understand why until I read something online about them. This person claimed that the reason the Greek gods were and are so unlikable at times was because that they were/are the embodiment of their domains. Zeus, who embodies the sky, was depicted as fickle and cruel, but that's just how the sky is. One moment it could be perfect, the sun shining, not a cloud in the sky, and then the next moment it could be pouring and thundering. Or with Poseidon, whose temper perfectly embodied the sea, sometimes calm and crystal clear, other times roiling and story dark. The final comparison that truly stuck with me was the one about Hades, god of the dead. In one of his myths, he kidnaps Persephone, daughter of Demeter and goddess of spring. This, I feel, exemplifies one of the truths of deaths, that it isn't fair, and that's a fact. Death will always take people even before they're ready to go, as that is what death does. I honestly think this myth has an element of truth to it, that the point of the story is to show how death will take anyone and everyone. This view, looking at the world as though the Greek gods are controlling it, has helped me see the world in an easier way. The world, like the Greek gods and the myths, is unpredictable, uncontrollable, and completely unfair and random. And you're born into this world, and you have to live with it. I feel that throughout my life, this outlook has helped me be more flexible and understand that I cannot be in control of everything. Reading led me to this outlook, and I believe this is why reading has changed my life. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nolan Stegner, and I believe in having a positive perspective on life. A person's perspective on how they want to live their life can be seen in many different ways, but I believe that that perspective should always have a positive outcome, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Let me give you an example. In my own perspective of life, I want to do many things, many different things, but one of those things is becoming a millionaire. Now, at one point, I just wanted the money. I didn't care how I was going to get it. I was just going to get it. One main idea I had was becoming a stockbroker on Wall Street. Now, for those of you who don't know, a stockbroker is a broker who buys and sells securities on a stock exchange on behalf of clients. So one night at dinner, I shared this idea with my parents, and they weren't huge fans. But there was a reason. They said that the only problem with brokers on Wall Street is they tend to try and create more money for themselves rather than their clients, which isn't very nice. But it got me thinking, if I couldn't become a stockbroker, what should I do? That's when I came up with the idea of creating my own business. But I also wanted this business to help other causes as well, whilst also making me money, obviously. So I thought I would create a business that sells clothes. But within the brand, there would be multiple different designs, and each design would go to a different cause. like pollution in the ocean or poverty charities, etc. This is an example of how I would have a positive perspective on something I want to achieve, which is becoming a millionaire. And whilst I have not pursued this business idea yet, I soon will, so nobody better steal it from me. Another way I like to stay positive is by getting out of my comfort zone. When in public, wave to strangers. There's a good chance they'll wave back, or they won't. It's fun either way. Participate in public speaking, which I'm already very good at, as you can tell. Enjoy nature. When going for walks, don't have the distraction of background music. Listen to the birds and the leaves in the wind. Maybe talk to yourself. That's what I do. I also think it's important to take risks. Obviously, not any risks that will get you into serious trouble, but fun risks. For example, I really want to go skydiving when I'm older. The law in Wisconsin is you have to be 18 years old. My goal is to go the year I turn 18. Sorry, Mom. Other examples might be playing new sports, trying a new activity, volunteering or working, taking a harder class in school, and making new friends. Even small positive risks like that can make big positive changes in life. Lastly, one of the most important ways people can have a positive perspective on life is by looking at the little things. For example, from where you're sitting in this room, I want you to try and point out all the items that you can see that are green. As you look around, you might start to notice things that you didn't realize were there. You might even feel like now green things are everywhere and all around you. The same goes for positivity. If you really look for it, it's everywhere. This, I believe.
I invite you into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering which sustains and strengthens our community here and also our outreach offering recipient, who this week is To Write Love on Her Arms. To Write Love on Her Arms is a nonprofit movement dedicated to presenting hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. To Write Love on Her Arms exists to encourage, inform, inspire, and also to invest directly into treatment and recovery. There are multiple ways you can share your gifts today. Baskets are now being passed out here in the auditorium for cash or checks, or as you will see on the screen, that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. You will see our text give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we share together. Thank you.
I'm supposed to stand here and make a statement on what I believe. But I believe in many things: happiness, anger, fear, family, loss, nature, love, trial and error. All of these things I had to pick from, I found change at the center of it all. Change is so vital and important in everyone's life. Even from a young age, kids are taught to find comfort in change and knowing that all bad things come to an end. Although I didn't find much comfort in change. To me, change meant my brothers getting older and moving away. Not only my brothers, but my friends as well. Every time one of them left to go off to college, it was a huge change. Never was it something minor. A lot happens before you want it to, be it as minor as an early period or as large as losing a friend. Death is definitely a large change. It's something that I have sadly known well in my 15 years of being here, and I would not recommend it. The changes of death have always affected more than just me or my home. From the first large death that I experienced, Sam Reisman, when I was about 5, to the most recent, Marie Wortlick, last school year in November. After each passing, it slowly gets better and people start to move on, because the world keeps changing and going no matter what you do. When I used to be asked about my siblings, they would say how good I must be with change and how much that would help me in life. I would sit there and smile and nod, because when I was younger, change only meant good things, even if I had experienced death. As I got older, I noticed more and more change brings many things, most of which are unpleasant. Although, even with unpleasantries, people still live and deal with change. All throughout COVID, I dealt with changes in friends and relationships. I definitely went through some hard stuff, including talking some of the people I was close to out of suicide. All of this happening really started to shift my view on change. It made me want to control what I couldn't control. Lots of stuff in my life has led to this moment. And the choice of my topic being change, if I'm being completely honest, I have known since I was 11 that I wanted to write about change in my belief statement. This is one thing I have looked forward to ever since I was young. But now that it's here, I'm not sure I'm ready. I love the community I've built and hope to stay in it, but nothing can stop change, not even death. So everyone keeps going, including me. This I believe.
I believe in the importance of community. Communities can be very different from each other. They can be big or small, and they can form for many different reasons. There can even be communities within communities. The community that had the most effect on me was Wingra School. During the 8 years I was there, I found basically everything that I think is important about a community. I made friends, which I still talk to this day. I had adults that I was comfortable talking to whenever I wanted help, and those who were also comfortable helping me when I didn't want to do things. I also joined a band, which led me to finding more about my interest in music. The most important thing I felt while there was the fact that I felt like I belonged there, which for me was very important. This was most prevalent when, at the end of the year, when it was time to move to a high school of my choice, I wanted to pick one that was similar to Wingra, or if I was allowed the option, I would have stayed at Wingra, which I unfortunately was not allowed to do. When I did pick a high school, I landed on West High School. I didn't do this because of its distance from my house, which happens to be quite a while because I live closer to Memorial. I didn't do this because I thought the school system would work better, but instead I chose it because I already knew a good amount of people going there. And I knew that I would enjoy school more if I had a group of people there to help me get through it, I guess. I learned I was correct on the very first day when we were put in classrooms, and that class or group, that group of people would be toured around the school. And on that first day, I had one person that I knew in that group, which helped me a lot during that. To summarize, communities are important to me because of the people you meet and the experiences you can gain while you're there. In this, I believe.
I believe in the power of music. Among many other things, music brings support. Music helps remind us that others are struggling and encourages us to keep going and stay positive. Although some songs may seem sad and depressing on the outside, they show us the struggles of others and are a great coping mechanism. On my personal journey of listening to as well as creating music, I have better understood my feelings as well as the feelings of others. Creating lyrics helps me to understand my thoughts and feelings. Having the clarity of understanding what you're feeling, even just for a second, reminds us what we are working for and helps us hope for the future. I'm not saying that music will stop all the negativity in your life, but I am promising that by looking inside of ourselves and exploring our thoughts and feelings through music, that we will receive a better clarity of the present and more hope. Music is my power. By writing music, I am able to combat negative emotions in my life and turn them into hope. I hope that music will bring you this power too. This I believe.
I believe that it's hard to be a good person all the time, but it's very important to try. What makes a good person? It's a deceptively hard question to answer. A lot of happy-sounding adjectives come to mind: kind, thoughtful, caring, helpful. It's a lot harder when you delve into it. What is it that makes a person good? Or more so, how do you define good? Goodness is a subjective concept. It's very hard to define because it means different things to different people. It's a way of categorizing things into how they make people feel, what kind of effect they have on the world around them. But sometimes it gets a little tricky because, like, opening the door for someone is a classic good person move. But what if you were opening the door for a notorious puppy robber? He needed it. He had his hands full of puppies. Would that change how the classically good action affected the world? You could argue that in this hypothetical situation, you didn't know the guy was a puppy stealer, or maybe a good deed is a good deed, no matter who it helps. Either way, you just aided and abetted the most notorious puppy stealer and let him into a dog shelter. That's sort of what living in this world is like today. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, a lot of your actions will have some kind of consequence, some kind of negative effect on the world. That's just how it is. The world is so complex and full that it's impossible to have no negative ramifications for your actions. These are things I've started to think about more regularly too. With the limited access to the rest of the world I have, how is it that I can go and affect other people's lives in a small, meaningful way and make things better in the world around me, not worse? In the past few months, my insecurities have shifted to how I portray myself. Am I presenting myself as a good person, a nice person, or the type of person people would like to spend time around? I wasn't really sure. Sometimes I felt like I wasn't. Going back even further than that, I started to wonder, how am I going to make the world good? What kind of thing can I do to make things better? The unfortunate answer I landed on was not much. I don't have the power to make laws and big important things change. I don't have the kind of presence that makes it easy to change people's minds because I'm just a 15-year-old in Wisconsin, not someone with a global influence. So an important part of this is scaling it back. I might not be able to stop world hunger, but maybe I can find a friend who's feeling sad.
I might not be able to stop violence in the world, but maybe I can volunteer and help people in my community that need it. I might not be able to give everyone an equal voice, but I can show appreciation and love to the people around me. Maybe that's what being a good person is about, doing what you can with what you have. All of these small actions will make a difference. They might not be big differences, but they can set off a series of chain reactions of actions that could help make the world better, or at least not put as much yuck into it. But the only way to achieve any of that is to start trying. Thank you.
Here we are once again at our beloved coming of age ceremony. And once again, we find ourselves filled with gratitude for the insights and the wisdom of these young people. Coming of age is the culmination of classroom learning here at First Unitarian Society, and it is our time to remember that in Unitarian Universalism, we believe that learning and growing is a lifelong endeavor, that the free and responsible search for truth and meaning is with us throughout our days. Over the course of this past year, these youth have begun in earnest to study themselves, to get to know themselves, examining their beliefs and their values, their ideals and aspirations. With their statements, our youth have given us just a glimpse of where this process has led them thus far. And we'd pause for a moment to thank those who've walked with them on this journey. So there are 4 in our gathered community who have served as the adult facilitators for coming of age. They have given our youth direction, insight, wisdom, and guidance throughout the year. They have brought patience, good humor, dedication and commitment, and much love and compassion to this year. Those 4 are Sandy Eskridge, Scott Mason, Becky Burns, and Brian Rainey.
Now, to all who gather with us today, we ask that you remember your important role in the spiritual and moral development of these youth. Where they journey from here is not entirely up to them, it is also up to us. We must remember that deepening their experience of Unitarian Universalism is not the responsibility of their parents and their advisors alone. Helping them to blossom as loving and conscientious human beings is a responsibility we all share. And now that they have completed their coming of age year, that responsibility becomes even more relevant and immediate. For these young people, you can serve as both example and inspiration of how people live out in everyday life their spiritual values. Through you, they can observe Unitarian Universalist faith in action. There can be no greater or more effective teaching than your good example. So I'm going to ask you this question now. Will you continue to encourage the spiritual growth of these youth? Will you value their insights and emerging convictions and recognize the gifts and talents they bring to our community and the enthusiasm and hope that they bring to our world? And if so, please say, we will. We will. All right.
And now to our youth, to all of you. We recognize today the work you have done during this past year, and we are grateful for the gifts and the talents that you have brought to us in your time here in this community. Will you continue this journey you have begun, growing as an individual expressing your beliefs, growing in faith, and continuing to question and explore? If so, please say, "We will."
All right, at this time, we're going to turn to the parents of our coming-of-age youth. If you would please rise or otherwise make yourselves known. You, beyond everyone else, have been witness to the unfolding and maturing of your child from birth until this day. In the beginning of the coming-of-age year, we asked you to give permission to your child to come of age. So I'm going to ask you this set of questions now. Will you continue to open your hearts in order to receive your child into your family for all they have become in this past year? Do you promise now to continue your journey together with respect, patience, guidance, and love? And if so, please say, "We will." All right. Be rest. Thank you.
At the dedication of a child, we give to each a rosebud, fragrant symbol of beauty, promise, and love. The rose we give then has no thorns, symbolizing the better world we would love to give to our children. We hope that these children whom we have dedicated will learn to recognize the beauty and the goodness which exists, that they will grow in wisdom and compassion, adding their own beauty to the world. Our hope is that as each rosebud unfolds in all its natural beauty, so may the life of each child unfold. Today, we give to each of these young people a rose in full bloom, symbolizing the beauty and the gifts that they already give to our world and the natural beauty that is found in each of them. Yet this time, the thorns are still intact. When you were a child, we could do our best to shield you from the harshness and the cruelty of the world. But now you are no longer a child, and we can no longer protect you from all that you encounter, both the beauty and the cruelty. But no matter where you may go, how far you may travel, you will always be with us in spirit, and we will always be sending blessings your way. So accept these roses, knowing that there are harsh realities in the world, but there is much beauty as well. May you choose to see the beauty. And now, as we did when you were young children, and I know because I dedicated you, the beauty of being somewhere a mighty long time.
Mm-hmm.
We ask that you be granted clarity of thought, integrity of speech, and compassionate hearts. May the blessings of an understanding heart, strength, integrity of purpose, love received and given be yours today and remain with you as you go forward into ever fuller life. Blessed be and amen. If you will join us in congratulating our youth.
And now we'll send them on away with a song. Please rise in body and or spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 102, We, the Heirs of Many Ages. We, the heirs of many ages, with the wise to guide our ways, honor all earth's seers and sages, build our temples for their praise. But the good we claim to cherish, all that Christ and Buddha taught, unrepentant hearts let perish, spurning truth most dearly bought. Centuries of moral teaching, words of wisdom, ancient lore, of a prophet's souls beseeching, leaves us heedless as before. Late in time may we, forsaking all our cruelty and scorn, see a new tomorrow breaking, and a kinder world be born.
Cherish your doubts, for doubt is the servant of truth. Question your convictions, for beliefs too tightly held strangle the mind and its natural wisdom. Suspect all certitudes, for the world whirls on, nothing abides. Yet in our inner rooms, full of doubt, inquiry, and suspicion, let a corner be reserved for trust. For without trust, there is no space for communities to gather or for friendships to be forged. Indeed, this is the small corner where we connect and reconnect with each other. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the recessional.